Welcome, gladiators, to the Colorful Voices Let's Talk podcast. I am your host, Timothy Jones, CEO, violent crime survivor, advocate, and more importantly, gladiator. On today's episode, we are thrilled and honored to have in studio as our first studio guest, Mr. Jeffrey Williams. Mr. Williams is the founder and CEO of the Impact Community Initiative here in Pittsburgh. The Impact Community Initiative is a wonderful program. But before I get into the program and your nonprofit, Mr. Williams comes to us decorated from receiving his undergraduate degree from Central State University, receiving his master's in criminal justice from Youngstown State University, and also master's in social work from the University of Pittsburgh. Yes. With over 25 years of professional experience, Jeff. And do you prefer Jeff or Jeffrey?
Jeff is fine.
Okay. With over 25 years of professional experience in the realm of criminal justice and social work, what inspired you to get into this field?
Well, thank you, Mr. Jones, first and foremost, for having me as your first in-studio guest. I'm truly honored and truly appreciative of this opportunity to talk about colorful voices on this podcast. What inspired me to get in this field of criminal justice and criminal justice reform is that born and raised in Braddock, Pennsylvania. For those people in the Mon Valley that know that it's now a town, it used to be a thriving town with steel mills and a lot of businesses, back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. I'm a 70s baby. Mm-hmm. Growing up of a mom who was a single parent due to my father dying at the day after my 11th birthday, it was kind of hard for a single mom raising six kids. I'm the youngest of six, and so I was a little bit of a mischievous kid, and so I did a lot of different things within my community. And then going to school, I was being a very smart kid. However, I got into a lot of things, and I just remember one time that one of my teachers told me that I was not going to amount to anything. And I was more likely going to become a statistic of my community. And that pushed me and gave me that inner drive to say, you know what, I'm not going to be a statistic. I'm going to make my mom proud. I'm going to make my family proud. We're a big family, very well known in our community. And so I said I wanted to prove that person wrong. So that was my main impetus in regards to for me deciding to not do wrong and do right, and eventually bring it forward and come back, and give my talents and skill sets return to the community.
It's beautiful how many of our, at the time, detractors, haters, and pushing us into our greatness. And it's amazing to see as we come back and we see just the progress we've made in our lives. Mm-hmm. I commend you on that. My next question, a graduate of Central State University, a proud HBCU, mm-hmm. What was that experience like?
I would not have changed it for the world. And people are oftentimes telling my story and how I ended up at Central State. For those who don't know about Central State University, it's one of the closest historically black colleges and universities in proximity to the city of Pittsburgh. We're about 4 hours away. It depends who's driving, 4.5 to 5 hours as well, in between Dayton and Columbus, Ohio. And the reason why I chose Central State University, I was accepted between Howard University in D.C. and then Central State University in Ohio. And the reason why I chose Central is because my sister lived in Columbus, Ohio. Nice. And, you know how it comes down to family, is being a college student in the need of money and need of resources, and it's time to do your laundry, holiday time. Yeah. I know if I was able to maybe ask my sister who lived in Columbus, hey, can you lend me some money or you could do some favors for me? She more than likely might not be asking for it back in a timely manner, as opposed to when you ask family members who live in another state and you live with them, they might say, hey, Jeff, you need to return that quick. So the long and short is I decided to go to Central State because my sister was very, very close. So I had a support system that was close. Being the youngest, my first time away from home, I thought it would be beneficial for me to have family close by. My experience there at Central State University it was a true culture shock for me. I attended Woodland Hills High School, and at the time, where I went, graduated from Woodland Hills High School in 1989. In 1988 is when the three school districts merged together. Which I don't know if people ever seen the movie Remember the Titans,
Yes.
With Denzel Washington. But that was my experience in high school. I was going to Churchill High School, and then they merged Churchill High School, Turtle Creek High School, and Swissville High School to make one high school. And so, therefore, when it came to that, the predominantly at that time the school was predominantly white, and so going to Central State University was a historically black college university, and there's obviously majority African American and black. So I would not have changed for the world. My lifelong friends are who I met there. I learned how to become a young man. I obviously had a positive upbringing from a two-parent household, but Central State is what gave me my foundation for me to give me that drive and that willingness to never ever take no for an answer. And you know what I'm saying? And don't take someone else's opinion of you to heart. Is that use their opinion of you to still move forward with your purpose. And so I give all my credit due to Central State University. But I also tell people as well that going to an HBCU is where I got my foundation, but I still wouldn't be the man that I am today without my opportunities that I had at Youngstown State University and the University of Pittsburgh.
Outstanding. I always wanted to go to an HBCU. I'm happy that I went to University of West Florida, but I also still have a master's degree and a doctorate degree to obtain. So looking at an HBCU is for that experience and to really ingratiate myself more in culture, and it is something that I applaud and excited for. I'm curious. We've seen a rise in crime rates here in the city of Pittsburgh and Allegheny County. Can you speak to the current climate that exists here in Pittsburgh and its impact on the local economy?
Yeah, well, Pittsburgh is no different than a lot of cities across the United States in regards to the uptick in crime. My personal opinion, I don't have the current statistics in front of me or with the current, one thing about it is the city of Pittsburgh and the new mayor that we have, he's always, putting out different data for the city to know in regards to his reform within the criminal justice system or in systems as a whole within the city of Pittsburgh. But in my personal opinion, I think, a lot of the crime has risen over the last year and a half to 2 years in the midst of our juvenile detention facility closing. Oftentimes that we're on the outside looking in and we really don't understand the parameters of closing the detention center. We as individuals sometimes, again, on the outside looking in, really don't know the benefits of having a detention center. For those people who don't know, the detention center is, for the most part, there to ensure the public safety. Right, those are the kids who are the way it's intended was for those to have those juveniles who are committing those more serious offenses for them to remain in the community to ensure they show up for court on their scheduled court appearance, do no harm to themselves or to the community, and at the same point in time keep the victim safe of that they have committed a crime against. And so that was for the main thing, to be able to maintain and to keep the community safe. And I think since the detention center was closed over, a year and a half to 2 years, don't quote me in regards to the exact date. I know there's some discussion now reopening it, but now there's nothing for our kids to be placed if they commit a serious offense. So there's kids who are committing some serious offenses right now, and they're now being placed at the Allegheny County Jail with adults. And so there's different things that need to take place in regards to making sure they're separated between other adults, because they're juveniles. There are juveniles that are 15, 16 years old and being charged as adults, and so that's a whole nother dynamic. But the overall crime in the city of Pittsburgh has risen. I sit on a few different committees. I attend a lot of different meetings, and a lot of the crime is taking place in downtown Pittsburgh. A lot of it is stemming from things that's going on within the schools. Social media has a lot to play in regards to the crime that's going on. Kids get on social media and they say all the things they say. Meet me at the mall. Meet me at this place. And there's a whole gathering. And so there's cyberbullying going on. There's a lot of different things that's going on within the city of Pittsburgh as it relates to our crime. And so one thing about it is there is some efforts being made within this current administration of the mayor's office and other nonprofit organizations such as myself who are on the front lines, pounding the pavement, trying to, at the first and foremost, educate the community. Go to the schools and talk to the schools and let the kids know what's going on. Talk to the administrators within the schools in regards to their zero tolerance policies. But also talk to these parents. A lot of these things are stemming from kids have not been taught, and as you know, and therefore a lot of these kids are raising themselves. And sometimes we as ourselves, as people who somewhat have been blessed and somewhat looking through a different lens, really don't understand what's the trauma that a lot of these kids are dealing with within their homes and within their communities. So in my personal opinion, I believe that a lot of our crime is being committed in these communities because a lot of our kids are dealing with also some trauma that has been unmet and undiagnosed.
Wow. I think I agree with that. And having, especially over the last year and a half, I've seen it. I would, during my healing journey, would walk downtown from where I would live and just engage in the community and see the rise. The one thing that also stuck out to me was just what you were saying. There's not an alternative for a lot of the youth to really engage in other activities that's beneficial for them and for their learning and growth and development. But there's also a lot of hope. Because I see it in their faces where just the downtown where there's an opportunity, but they don't know what that opportunity is or what does it look like. So a major shout out to our current administration, Mayor Gainey, and everything that he continues to do for reform, social justice reform, community reform. Thank you, and all the nonprofits that are on the front lines every day, engaging with our youth, engaging with the parents, ensuring that we are creating and establishing resources for that to decrease the crime rate, but more importantly, to provide opportunities. You mentioned the closure of the Juvenile Detention Center, and I saw in my research that one of the offerings that ICI offers is the Justice House. Could you provide a little more information on the Justice House and what it provides?
Yes, well, the Justice House is not specific to juveniles. The Impact Justice House is a vision of mine, and where I realized that there are a lot of people who were incarcerated at one point in time, and they return to the community. They need a safe and affordable place to live. I worked for a few different nonprofits over the years, and one of the things that there was a gap in services in regards to those people when they return home. You know, we would provide them with services with regards to getting them maybe bus passes, helping out with their resumes, give them the personal hygiene, the things that they need if they actually had a place to live. But a lot of people were coming to us saying that I'm homeless, right? And through Allegheny County, in the state of Pennsylvania, homelessness, is viewed by different people different ways. But there is a actual terminology, and there's different levels of homelessness. So someone could be homeless, street homeless. There's someone who could be, couch surfing. That's considered homelessness. People going from family to family, living in someone's basement, is homeless. So at the end of the day, the Justice House was a vision of mine that I wanted to give back to the community and having a way for people to have a safe and affordable place to live, right? It's a transitional house, right? It's not up and running as of yet. We've identified some places where we're going to get, so it's under construction in a sense. On my website, it says under construction. My graphic designer had put it that way. But it's a place that's going to be for men and women. We're going to have one location in McKees Rocks. We're going to have another location in McKeesport, one for women and one for men, in regards to having, like I said, a transitional, sober living place for those individuals to feel safe and affordable for them to be able to transition into getting their own place. Within that place, we'll have programming, right? So I have relationships with different, me being someone who's a social worker by trade, I'm not a licensed clinical social worker. However, I do have relationships with a lot of licensed clinical social workers who provide services and therapy services, individual and groups, to those who are in need of those services. Because oftentimes that those individuals who are returning to the community needing a place to live, but they also have other issues that they're dealing with. They're dealing with wanting to get their kids back because their kids were removed from the home, right? And they're within the system. They're dealing with homelessness and food insecurities. They're dealing with mental health. They're dealing with substance use. So we want to be able to address all the social determinants of health as it relates to those individuals as they return back to the community, and be able to wrap them with love and let them know that we're there to support them and give them all the support that they need in order for them to successfully transition. So the likelihood of them recidivating and committing another offense to return back to incarceration is slim to none. Outstanding.
And I know that you've been operating, and thank you for more information on the Justice House, because our Gladiator tribe, we need to know about the Justice House. So as it gets up and running, we also want to be able to support the Justice House with our community members that need those services. And when we speak about homelessness, that's a symptom. And it's amazing to see that you're addressing the root of the symptoms there. And that's really good. And we also know that we have homeless youth.
Indeed.
And this brings me to your youth diversion program that I'm reading in our conversations is just amazing. Can you speak? I know about the youth diversion program, but our audience does not. I would love for you to share about your youth diversion program and its benefits and implications here in Pittsburgh.
Great, thank you for the question. Youth diversion program, the Impact Youth Diversion Program it was a vision of not just mine, it was a vision of some other amazing people who are in the criminal justice reform and juvenile justice reform efforts, a few years ago back in 2016. The program started back in 2016 with another nonprofit organization. And then based on it starting there, we transitioned it to another organization. At that time, I didn't have my own 501c3. So back in 2016, 2017, I started growing and nurturing and developing the programming for the youth diversion program. I mean, I'll tell you a little bit more about it in a minute, but I wanted to give a little bit of history because context matters. Over the last, 6 years, the youth diversion program was at another nonprofit within the city of Pittsburgh based on the north side. And in that time, like I said, we grew it, we expanded it, and we did a lot of things. We served a lot of kids, changed a lot of lives. So whenever I decided to leave that nonprofit organization, my vision and my passion still was there because it was my intellectual properties of me growing, developing, nurturing, and designing the diversion program along with based off of what the families were saying they were wanting, the youth were saying they were wanting, the courts were saying they were wanting, and the youth as a whole saying what they were wanting. So the youth diversion program as a whole is, for the most part, is a program that's designed to target youth between ages of 10 through 18 who committed low-level to medium-level non-violent offenses, right? And so we want to use this opportunity to give these kids a second chance at doing the right thing. Oftentimes, kids, get in trouble. And back when Schumann Detention Center was open, there may be times when a kid might commit something small like retail theft. And they will be, detained in the juvenile detention center for a period of time, even though they might not have fit the criteria of being a serious threat to the community, as I mentioned earlier in regards to the reason why someone needs to be detained in a detention center. So at the end of the day, I wanted to address those low-level to medium-level non-violent offenses in those youth and give them a second chance at doing the right thing and do it within the community and not being removed from the home, placed in the detention center, or removed out of home at a secure residential facility or something like that. So what we do is we get referrals. We have partners that make referrals to us. Allegheny County Probation Office makes referrals to us. I'm sorry, not Allegheny County Probation. That's an adult. The Allegheny County Family Division, and they have the juvenile. They make referrals to us. We partner with the Housing Authority City of Pittsburgh. We partner with Propel Schools. We partner with Pittsburgh Public Schools. We get referrals from people from within the different communities, nonprofit organizations who might identify kids being in their programs, in their after school programming. They might identify as a parent, come up to me and say, hey, my son or my daughter is exhibiting some behaviors that and making them at risk. And at the end of the day, they pretty much have been doing some things and just haven't got caught. Gotcha. So our youth diversion program is a program that we provide services within the schools, but also outside the schools within the community, and also all throughout the week. So we do things during the summertime, at the end of the day, to provide them with opportunities to address some of those issues so they don't recidivate. So we deal with a lot of our curriculum is a teen outreach curriculum that we partner with the Boys and Girls Club of Western Pennsylvania, and we address the things that the kids want to talk about. Me and my team, we don't go to a parent, to a kid, and tell you this is what's wrong with you and this is what you need to do to fix it. No, we come together and we come from a strengths base, and we let them know that everyone is involved and they have an opportunity to be able to discuss and what the plan is going to be. The individual service plan or treatment plan, what this kid is going, what this young person is going to do in order for them to be successful. So we identify as to who's the support. It could be a coach, it could be a teacher, it could be the parent, it could be a pastor of a church, it could be a family member. We bring them all together and put together a plan. So whenever that kid does not succeed, he's not just letting him or herself down, they're letting the whole team down. So it's not me saying this is what you need. It's that we came together to put a plan together, and if you do this, the likelihood of you succeeding will be great.
And I love that it's a team aspect, and now it removes the singularity of I have to do this on my own. I'm by myself. I don't have help. There's not supports. And the fact that you've wrapped this around strength-based is amazing, because it does decrease the likelihood of recidivation. I'm very curious, for the youth that you've been able to support, what's been the feedback from their work with you?
That's a great question, and that's one of the things that we do. We have a database that was designed specific for our youth diversion program, and within that database, there has the capacity for us to be able to ask questions and document that. And one of the questions that we ask is that we ask 3 questions to the youth who've been participating in our program. Name one thing that you liked about the program. Name one thing that you didn't like about the program, and recommend one thing that you would do to change the program. Right. So those are the 3 things that we, for the most part, ask the kids, and we ask the parents. There's other things that we ask and that we do throughout the year, but those are the main things that they get the meat of it. Because at the end of the day, is that I can go and sit down in front of a foundation and tell them all about the things that I think we're doing, and the impact that we're making in the community, but it comes better from the kids and from the parents. So what they're saying about the program is that they say that we're there when other people weren't listening. Oftentimes that the systems, a lot of the people who we work with don't believe in systems, right? And so I'm gonna touch that in a minute, but they don't believe in systems, and they says that oftentimes people in systems overpromise and underdeliver, right? So at the end of the day, we had to learn to make sure that whenever we say we were going to call them, we would call them. Or if we want to text them, we text them. And we were going to show up, we show up, right? And if we say we're going to help them out in any way, shape, or form, we do it. And if we, for whatever reason, we can't do it, we give them an understanding. We always answer our phone calls. We always respond to emails. And we show up. Just showing up shows them that you really care. When you have a kid who's growing up in a single parent household, whose father may be incarcerated, or father may not be in the picture for whatever reason, and this kid plays basketball or youth sports, and just you showing up to that youth sports and seeing that kid seeing you in the stands or seeing you there shows that someone cares. Right, so that's one of the main things as the gift that they told us, is that you guys really show that you guys care. Right, when someone is struggling, they don't have food, or they're having difficulties paying their bills, we were able to help and have programming and get access to resources or write grants to be able to get money to be able to help them with utility assistance, or rental, helping with their with their rent. And just getting them, things in regards to food, just signing them up. I mean, taking them to their doctor's appointments, their mental health appointments. Oftentimes, that a lot of these kids, and not just the kids, but their parents, a lot of their issues go undiagnosed, and because they haven't been to the doctors. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, we provide those things for them. So one of the things that we do that's mandatory for any kid that comes into our program, in our intake process, we ask them, when was the last time that you went to see your doctor, your primary care physician? Some of them don't even have them. Some of them don't have insurance. So that's something else that we need to work on. Get them insurance. We ask them, when's the last time you've been to the dentist, right? People are dying because they're getting infections in their mouth. You know what I'm saying? Young people, right? And so they haven't been to the dentist. Young girls are becoming sexually active. When's the last time you went to see your OBGYN, doctor? And we realize that a lot of them haven't been. And so we were able to create partnerships with organizations such as the community, not community hospitals, but community health centers. In regards to those individuals who don't have insurance, who didn't have the money, we'll be able to pay a sliding fee scale for them to be able to get those things done. So the end all be all is that what we're getting back in our feedback that we got from the youth and the families over time is that we're just glad that someone cared about them when someone else didn't, right? Yeah. We took that extra mile to return that phone call. And again, whatever we make, whenever we promise, we delivered on our promises. So at the end of the day, they want the main thing that people, they don't trust, right? Yeah. Growing up in a black community, such as you probably heard this, I've heard it, and many kids are talking about what happens in our home stays in our home, right? Yeah. And so therefore, it's kind of hard for these kids to be able to open up and tell you what's going on within their home, because they don't feel though that they know that maybe, if they share too much, that they might be removed from their home. Regardless of what's going on in their home, they still love their mom, they still love their dad, or whoever their caretaker is. But at the end of the day, they don't want to say anything that could jeopardize them being removed from their home. So long and short of it is that what we know is that they trust us, and we built that trust over a period of time, and they believe in us, and they know that we're going to do anything we can. And one of the things that I say all the time, and I tell the kids and I tell the parents, because we have some, we have, everything hasn't always been a success, right? But we have been very successful. But I tell the parent, I tell the kid this, and this is coming from me, not my team. I say, I'm not going to pull you, I'm not going to push you, but I'm going to walk alongside this journey right along with you, and I'm going to hold your hand, right? Because oftentimes the reason why a lot of the kids and the families don't get things they don't know, they know that there's services out there, but they don't know how to access them. Yeah. So that's our job and our role, is to be able to help them access these resources to get them and get their needs met.
And thank you for the amazing answer, and thank you. That emotion that's coming out of myself is, I know that feeling. I've been there, saying, man, just showing up. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you for listening. There was a moment where a 3-hour and 45-minute conversation was the transformation of me to accept the services from the VA. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize that. And to know that you're providing that for our youth, mm-hmm. and our kids, and you're getting that real-time data back from them, is why you've been successful, and why you continue to be successful, and why the lives that you're going to transform is going to support decreasing recidivism. So, right. And I thank you for doing that, because that's heart work. Right. It ain't hard work. It's heart work. Right. Heart work is harder than hard work, because you do have to show up. There's that accountability aspect that services that separates services from the pretenders, from those who are doing outstanding jobs. I know how we are in our time.
Yeah, and if I may, I want to add something else onto that. You mentioned the word transforming, right? Yeah. In regards to pretenders from those doing the real world work, you touched on something that is very, very poignant, and then I like to share all the time in regards to what got me into this work, right? A lot of times, I said that people have overpromised and underdelivered, and people don't believe in systems. And the reason why they don't believe in systems is because when you mentioned that word transform, it resonated with me, because one thing that I always say is that oftentimes people, they look at the people they're serving as transactions, right? And so they make transactions. They really don't have the heart. They're doing it for a job to get a paycheck. What we do is that we take it from being a transaction and transformational. Yeah. Our role is to be transformative in someone's life. We're not, you go into a bank, you make a transaction, but when you're dealing with people and people's lives and they're trusting in you, you want to be transformative. And so that's what we are. We want to remove from being transactional and be transformative.
And it's such a great way of being able to do that, because what you're also educating with the youth is the building of the relationships and the strong foundation that also helps with conflict resolution, which is you're teaching so many soft skills that translate so well, and which we know, and that transforms lives, and it continues into adulthood. It doesn't stop, and that's the aspect that you're ingraining within our youth today, currently, and also empowering them to take the steps. When you walk alongside anyone in their journey, the good, the bad, the indifferent, it's still empowering, because they're not walking that journey alone. And that it changes when it comes to the conversations of suicide, everything. And in that, wow. So here's my other question that I have. This is the part that a lot of the audience doesn't know, is we've got an opportunity. We get to connect all the time and have these conversations offline. I am so fascinated with quantum computing, as you we've had this conversation. How do you see quantum computing and the advancement of the technology being of service and of assistance to criminal justice reform?
Oh, wow. That's not totally my lane, but I've been getting involved in a lot, because at the end of the day, as it relates to criminal justice reform, but also just in regards to the aspects of working with the young people, right? In regards to, I had opportunity to get involved and visit some spaces and places that are dealing with the artificial intelligence and the AI stuff, where they put on the headsets and everything like that, and take you in a different space dealing with those individuals who have mental health. And I feel as though that when you utilize the technology, you know what I'm saying, it's there for us for a reason. We have evolved. I remember rotary phones, but now, some people don't. But when technology comes, we have to embrace it and we have to utilize it to the best of its ability, but not be steadfast in it. Yeah. And so I feel as though that the technology that we have today, as it relates to criminal justice reform, I feel as though that those people who are the leaders and the legislators are taking advantage of the technology to do that. They're looking at the data, a lot more than before, right? Yeah. And they're using that data to help, create laws and legislation to benefit. Sometimes it doesn't always go the way that we need it to go, but time with the new administration, yeah. They're utilizing a lot of the technology as well as the data to be able to address and address things in regards to criminal justice reform under this new administration. When I say not just the City of Pittsburgh administration, I'm talking about on the federal level with the White House administration in regards to using that. But as it relates to the technology in regards to with the young people that we're working within our programming through the diversion program as a whole, we are the way that is going in regards to the workforce development, things like that. They're going into the fields in regards to STEAM and STEM, in regards to coding. There's a lot of opportunities out there. There's a lot of programming out there. There's a lot of funding resources to let kids know that everything is not going to be, you're going to make it to the NFL or to the NBA or the baseball or hockey. And there's great opportunities for careers in STEAM and STEM. And so that's what we're gearing towards in this upcoming 2024 year. We're focusing a lot on doing a lot of things with that AI in regards to getting these headsets for these kids to be able to learn and deal with their mental health.
That's amazing, and that's outstanding. And especially with our new generation, understanding AI way more than we will, it's great that you're incorporating technology and the data into how ICI evolves, which then leads me into my last two questions. Where do you see the impact, and I like how I stated this, the impact of the Impact Community Initiative, ICI, evolving over the next 3 years?
I see the impact, and for those out there knowing, I don't even know if you've seen this on my website or whatever case, impact, there's each letter means something, right? Impact meaning individuals making positive action choices together. And so what I see impact, making an impact over the communities over the next 3 years, that about 5 years ago, I did a 5-year strategic plan when I was with that other organization. And it was my strategic plan that I thought of, and I'm just transferring it now to ICI. And some of those things that I envisioned 5 years ago has already come into fruition here within the city of Pittsburgh. Because I'm the person who first started the youth diversion program in the city of Pittsburgh, right? And so since then, it has expanded. Now diversion services are offered all throughout the city of Pittsburgh. It was first started as a pilot program. Specifically to the city of Pittsburgh, then it moved to, the city of Pittsburgh is based in 6 zones, right? And so it started off in zone 1, then went over to zone 2, and then it went to zone 5 and 6. And now it's throughout the entire county. So for impact as a whole, to answer the question wholeheartedly, is that I envision that the youth diversion program and the other services that we provide will not just be within the city of Pittsburgh and Allegheny County, but we're now going to expand our services outside the county. Right, yeah. We have some relationships already with Westmoreland County. Okay. We have some relationships already with Erie County, and that's for the most part we're really going to be expanding to Erie County in the 2024 year, and 2025 year, and also in Westmoreland County we have some opportunities. So where I'm envisioning in the next 3 years is to expand the programming, so we're just not serving and meeting the needs of the people within Allegheny County. Now, we don't have that capacity, and like again, I said that we don't like to overpromise and underdeliver, so we're going to stay in our lane and do what we can to help out the kids who are most needed here right now. But as the organization grows and our capacity grows, then we'll be able to serve outside, the city of Pittsburgh, and hopefully be a model that we could take outside the county lines, but go across state lines. So that's what my vision was 5 years ago when I was with the other organization. For us to go across county lines and then go across state lines. So I envision that we'll be able to make an impact in changing the trajectory of people's lives, youth and or adults, over the next 3 to 5 years.
What I hear and what I heard is a lot of opportunities for growth and evolution, and for the community here in Pittsburgh to get involved with Impact Community Initiative. How do we get to do that? Where can we find? I've been to the website. So where can we find more information on the Impact Community Initiative? What are your social media handles?
Well, I'm not a social media guy. I actually have a graphic designer and a content person who does all my social media, in which I'm learning. A good friend of mine and a mentor of mine in the past says, Jeff, you need to get involved with social media. So I'm new to this. So we do have a Facebook page in which it's under the organization, Impact Community Initiative. We don't have a Instagram or a TikTok or all those other things as of yet. But in 2024, we will be expanding our social media presence. Actually, I've taken some classes, and I have some classes and some trainings coming up in the first week of January in regards to, so I could be more acclimated in regards to it. I have people on my team and my board of directors who are social media savvy. My kids are social media savvy. They have Instagrams and Facebook pages. So this is all new to me.
Yeah.
I'm not a dinosaur, but I just really never had any interest. But in regards for the people to be able to know about what we're doing and the impact that we're trying to make, that we know we have to have a social media presence. So like I said, we do have a Facebook page. Our website is www.ici412.org. I can be reached at jwilliams@ici412.org. But another way on our website, there's ways that you could donate. There's big things that you could donate. We have a lot of different events that we're having coming up in the 2024 year. Our calendar should be out within the next month. We like to have it out before February. That shows all the events and community events that we're going to be having. We have one event that's coming up in February that I don't want to mention yet because we haven't done a flyer and haven't all the details yet. But I'll make sure I'll get that to you through all your viewers and your listeners.
Yes.
But one of the things that also we're going to do is that for people to be involved is that I don't know if I'm jumping the gun, but we have an opportunity. We're going to be starting a podcast ourselves, right? And the name of the podcast is going to be called The Impact Statement. Obviously the word impact goes with the name of the organization, but for those who are in the field of criminal justice, who knows about the court systems and the impact statement, as it relates to someone who's been victimized of a crime, we're going to have a podcast called The Impact Statement that flips the script, and we'll have an opportunity for individuals who've been impacted by the criminal justice system, whether it was right, wrong, or indifferent. Opportunity to give them a platform to be able to discuss their story and share their story to the masses in regards to, but also to the masses is my target. One of my targets will be those individuals who have the financial resources and those who make legislation, who's working with legislation to change the laws. We need those individuals to know that the decisions that they make at the legislative levels, at the state, federal, and local levels, how that impacts people who are returning to the community. There's no reason why someone who may have been on parole or probation and they return to the community and they miss a phone call from the probation officer or parole officer and they get technically violated and go back to prison. That's not right. Now, there's a recent law that's just been passed by our current governor that's going to reduce those technical violations and not people to go back. But those are individuals who I want to interview on my podcast. I want to interview those individuals who've been incarcerated, but I also want to interview every single person along the continuum of the system that makes an impact on individuals' lives. So from the judges, from the magistrates, from the probation officers, from the wardens, from the police officers, to the therapists, everyone who has impacts an individual once they're incarcerated and from the time that they're released. We're going to be doing a podcast, so people will be able to get in contact with us there. We're going to be putting our calendar together as well for people who we plan on being on our show as well.
And so in the advent of time, and I know that we are coming towards the end of that, I have one question that I ask all of our guests, and I'm excited to ask this question because it's a wonderful one. What's your favorite color and why?
Yeah. I have a few colors. I'm a guy that, when people think of color, people oftentimes think of what's their favorite color when they dress. What's your favorite color that you like to see? But I have different things that I like. But if I had to narrow it down to one color, my favorite color would be black.
Okay.
Right. They say always bet on black. Right. For one, that's my race, my ethnicity. I'm a man of color. I'm black, born and raised. But at the same point in time, is I love everything about the color of black. And what I love about it is that black, it's hard for you to be able to show stains in black, right? Yeah. You could take that in the form of the color itself, or on the person as an individual, or the person internally. Is that it's hard to show stain on black, right? So oftentimes, being a black person, we often have to wear and suffer in silence. right? And so therefore, not saying that's a good thing, but we as black people have to show strength, right? So black show strength. Right? And so therefore, that's one of the reasons why I choose black. And I personally think that, every car, I'm gonna say every car, but all of my most recent cars that I've always had was either black or white. But black is the ones that whenever you shine it up, and no other cars, when you shine up really good, now maybe red, but when you shine up a black car, it really looks nice. And so my car that I currently have is a black with tinted windows, a black leather interior, and black rims, and it's all blacked out. It just always fascinated me about the color of black, and so that's my favorite color, and the reasons why.
Outstanding. Jeff, I want to thank you for being our first in studio guest, and I want to thank you for the conversation. What an amazing vision that you have seen, from a vision to actualization. And I applaud you. Colorful Voices, our tribe of gladiators applaud you, and we thank you. And I would love to have you back on, especially during National Crime Victim Rights Week, because we go hand in hand together. And I look forward to seeing how ICI continues to grow in our community. In any way that Colorful Voices, our tribe, can be support, please let us know.
Indeed. Yeah.
Thank you so much for the time, King. Have a great.
Thank you for having me, man. This has been amazing, man. I love your platform. I love the work that you're doing. You and I share office space. Yeah. We talk on a day-to-day basis. And one thing that I realize about you, and I'm sure your friends and your gladiators and the people you work with, is your smile. Yes, a smile says a lot. And so that's the first thing that I recognized when you and I first met, and just hearing you talk to people and with positiveness and just always trying to instill and pour into people. I appreciate that most about you. So I'm glad to have met you over those last few months, and for me to be able to be your first studio guest. It's truly been an honor on my end as well. Man,
it's this is community. This is how we grow as a community, and vice versa. And it's this community that we have here in Pittsburgh that allowed me to the space and the opportunity to heal in a manner in which that was in keeping with my ideals, my value system, maintaining sobriety is the biggest thing there. So everyone gets to see the smile, and then also knowing that I'm not projecting any of the baggage you would call, and you're correct, knowing that what I would hold in the household, I now talk to with my therapist, and then the tools that I'm given, and I get to share those tools with my community and my network. It has allowed me to be more myself, and it also allowed others in the community to have a relationship with me and conversations that they weren't able to have before, based upon just the fears of what would happen if we had this conversation.
Right.
Now we get to have it, and our relationships have deepened because of it. And that's one of the main reasons I'm so happy that we got to have this conversation, because if it wasn't for Impact Community Initiatives, other nonprofits just like yours, I would not be present nor alive to have this conversation.
That's beautiful.
And I'm so excited for us to listen and to take in and to hear from the community. So, by the way, gladiators, the conversation is not over. It's not over at all. Leave your comments down below. Let's continue this conversation. We'd be happy to just any insights, comments, critiques. We want them all. Let's have this conversation together. This is an amazing time that we are living in 2024. And I'm excited for what is to come. So thank you so much for your time today, gladiators. We're going to see you on our next episode when we talk action. So we'll see you all on the next Colorful Voices Let's Talk podcast. Bye.